Welcome to the Rudick Report. Today is Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. With more signs of a failing economy, the collapse of America's middle class has crushed retail and department stores. It appears that Amazon, the P word, and layoffs have crushed the small business owner. Nearly one-third of all malls in the United States are set to close, and the number of distressed retailers is on the rise. Analysts say 75,000 more U.S. stores could be closing, with space available signs peppering the landscapes across the country. Retail giants like Walmart and JCPenney are shuttering stores across the country, leaving a trail of layoffs in their wake. Malls and strip malls across the country are becoming more and more silent, which adds more weight to an economy that is already at high risk of collapsing. The retail industry is in deep trouble, with no signs of relief ahead, with many store owners, the mom-and-pop shops, all on the verge of bankruptcy. This is a true sign of what the state of our economy is in, not what the White House is trying to convince us of. If the economy was doing anywhere near as good as what they are telling us, then these stores would not be closing. It is also a chilling reminder of how tight the profit margins are in these stores. The large retailers online and storefronts have made it nearly impossible to turn a profit. These indicators are a wake-up call to support your local storefronts, the small business owners, the mom-and-pop shops in your communities. These stores have been under attack for a long while, and especially during the P word. Does it even make sense that the large retailers were allowed to stay open while the mom-and-pop shops couldn't? The P word policies crushed the smaller retailer, and they are unlikely to survive unless people like you and I change our habits and support our local community shops. The truth is, the White House is outright lying in regard to the economic numbers. The stock market is a rigged game completely disconnected from reality. Americans are tapped out and living off their credit cards, and that is why the credit card debt has reached record levels of $19 trillion and climbing. In May of 2022, a report based on data from late 2021, the Federal Reserve found that 68% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense using cash or its equivalent. Now, the economy has tanked a lot further since then, so it's highly likely that those numbers have increased dramatically. So despite the continued slide of the U.S. economy, the Federal Reserve is continuing with its increase of interest rates at their upcoming meetings. People need to be aware that during this difficult time of economic uncertainty and hardship, your government is raising interest rates. These rates are a tax forcing Americans to pay more for things they use every day during a time when the economy is slowly collapsing in on itself. The Federal Reserve is not your friend. Inflation is a tax on the people, and it's breaking their backs. Instead of helping its own citizens, the White House is sending billions of dollars to Ukraine to fight a proxy war and supporting a non-NATO country. Part of that support includes Social Security and pensions to people who have never paid a dollar into the program. Meanwhile, people in our own country are suffering with unemployment, high taxes, crushing student loan debt, crushing credit card debt. They won't even help the poor people of Palestine, Ohio, where a tragic chemical spill was intentionally burned up, causing a cloud of poison to travel across great areas of lands in multiple states. What is their response? They just claim everything is okay, absolving themselves of responsibility. Meanwhile, fish and animals are dying, people are coughing up blood, car paints are bubbling up, and people are having difficulty breathing. The Biden administration is a joke, and everything they have touched has turned into a disaster. They don't care about Americans, and that is very clear. You need to be aware of our dire situation. The economic story the White House is telling is a fake story. We are in an everything bubble, where everything from the car industry to the housing market, to student loan debts, to crushing credit card debts, to the retail collapse. We are in an everything bubble, and when it pops, it will make the Great Depression look like a picnic. The truth is, it would have already popped if they didn't prop it up with money printing and buying of our own debt and buying the stock market. We have become the buyer of last resort, propping up the markets. The market numbers are not a true reflection of the real economy. It's all smoke and mirrors, and the more people they fool, the happier they will be. But make no mistake, we are on borrowed time. Because of the actions they have taken over the years, when the markets truly unhinge, it will be even worse. Our debt has never been higher, and this time it won't just be the United States. It will be a worldwide phenomenon. We are truly on the brink of a global financial disaster which will leave most bankrupt and destitute. Don't be a victim of their artificial takedown. Prepare yourselves and your family. Get out of debt if you can. Get some extra food and water where you can. Move your money out of banks except for monthly operating costs. And if you are able, get some precious metals, even if in small increments. I'd like to make a note about moving your money out of banks. You need to be aware that there is a liquidity crisis in the banking sector, and it's important to protect yourself from the bail-ins. Unlike the previous crisis where the government used bailouts to buy toxic assets and infuse capital into failing banks, they may use bail-ins this time. Rather than using taxpayer money to infuse banks with capital, banks seize money from depositors, turning debt into equity to keep the banks afloat. This means they take your money from your account to keep them from total failure. So what can you do? The first thing you need to do is be aware of what is happening in the financial world and stay abreast of what is going on. If you are fortunate enough to have lots of cash, then you should consider spreading your assets across multiple accounts in the United States, keeping each account below the FDIC insured limit of $250,000. This is not a concern for most people, but I figured I would mention it. Also, as mentioned earlier, you could diversify your portfolio with precious metals. Gold and silver have long been viewed as a hedge against inflation. And more importantly, gold is real money that you can hold and store and is transferable into any currency around the globe. The largest banks have shown beyond any shadow of a doubt that they should not be blindly trusted with your money. The irresponsible practices that led to the Great Recession weren't a fluke, and the Dodd-Frank Act didn't do much to prevent future catastrophes. It simply shifted the financial burden from taxpayers to depositors. That's exactly why so many people are diversifying their investment portfolios with gold and silver. If you're worried about another financial crisis or the value of your dollar plummeting, precious metals may be a great alternative for you. You can store physical gold and silver like gold bars, silver bars, as well as gold and silver coins yourself. You know the old saying made popular by Lynette Zhang, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Of course, none of what I'm saying is financial advice. And that's my official YouTube disclaimer. With lots of uncertainty going on in the world, including all economic situations we are all facing, it's not surprising that more and more people are starting to wonder just how safe their money is sitting in the bank. Regardless of what their ever-changing definition of a recession is, be rest assured we are already in one. And this one will be much worse, with banks potentially being in serious trouble. Be vigilant. It's not enough to simply speculate about whether a bail-in could be forthcoming. You need to prepare for one as though it's a sure thing. And the best way to do that is by diversifying your investments, and precious metals may be a great place to start. Complement that with debt payoff, extra food and water, and helping others understand what is on the horizon. Thank you for watching. If you can please support my channel by visiting my affiliate links, it would really help us continue our work. Until next time, this is the Rudick Report.